Hey, welcome back. We have a new phone and a new knife. So see how the video quality is on this new iPhone 14. If it's any different than the 12 I was using before to do these videos. I don't think it's going to be noticeably different, but time will tell. And let me just go ahead and get this box open carefully here. And this is an exciting one. Well, we're gonna see how this goes. I've not been quite sure what to think or what to expect, but this is a Gareth Bull Shamwari. It's a relatively new one. I think this was from a drop in like December. Comes with a little leather pouch, which is cool. I guess that's an extra or something like that, although this one's pretty beat up. And there it is, and it's a 3-inch, and it's quite a bit smaller than I was expecting. That's my first impression. If you're not super familiar with these are front flippers. They're known for being super smooth. This one's on washers. It definitely feels smooth, and this is a Spiro, a Sham Spiro, I think they call it. But let's go ahead and just get this open. I want to just clean this up a tad here. Take a quick look at the condition. Everything looks pretty darn good. A lot of people are saying this particular build is like their favorite all around, or like even EDC kind of build. So it's exciting, very exciting. So let's see. Wow, that is very smooth. Let's see how the front flip is. And I'm not great at the front flip, but we'll see. Oof, that is very easy. And this is a washer version. The bearing version is even more drop shut, but man, that is that is really good. A lot of people said this would make me feel like the Rosie was not smooth, and yeah, now I see where that's coming from. That's crazy. That is crazy smooth. And this size is awesome. Let's take a look at the weight on this real quick. We'll get some measurements. This is a heck of an EDC size right here. And this particular one is called a Cheka. It's like a spear point. So you can get this in a drop point also. But man, that is a real sweetheart on the action. And that pivot is insanely cool. I see why those are so popular. All right, let's see what we got here on weight. I'm feeling 3 1/4. Wow, 2 1/2, super light. I was just guessing because it was tie that it was going to be. I felt like it was light, but I was, wow. 2 1/2, 2.45 ounces is crazy light. But it's not that thin, of a blade. That is sweet. Beautiful hollow ground. I believe that's a hand-rubbed satin. Wow, that is a really nice knife, folks. All right, let's do some size comparisons on this thing. Those of you that watch the channel a lot will know some of the knives that are in my collection, but I'd say the very immediate two that come to mind would be the Rosie and the brown Mini FSD. Maybe we'll do these the other direction because the brown is the bigger and the Rosie's. Yeah, it's definitely the smallest of the three. It's even lighter than a Rosie. It's definitely a more efficient package. Like, you don't really need your knife to be that tall. But man, that is, people said it would spoil my, excuse me, been sick this week. Spoil me and make me feel like the Rosie wasn't as good or something like that. I still think the Rosie's great. It also costs less by a lot, both on, drops and on secondary. But man, that is a real sweetie, a real sweetheart, I have to say. Now, is it worth the secondary price? That's a stretch. That feels like a lot for such a small knife. Man, that's crazy though for washers. Is this thing's not centered. Let me see if this is actually, the pivot's tight, because that feels concerning there. That looks like maybe a T6, or is it a T8? It looks like maybe a T6, unfortunately, even on the pivot screw. Not ideal, but let me try a T8 first. I'm going to clear some of these other knives out of here. We're not playing with a inexpensive knife here. So, oh, it is a T8. Yeah, that is, you know, it's the second time I bought from this seller, and it's the second time he sent me a knife with a loose pivot. So I would say I need to chat with him, but I also need to get this to the right, tune this to the right point. Lockup is good. And then I need to put some Loctite on it when I get it in that right point, because you can, this one does not feel like one that's going to stay in the right, at the right tune, if that makes sense. It's still got a little side to side play. There we go. Solid lockup now, but it's not going to be nearly as drop shut, you know, especially with washers. Okay, staying solid. That's more what I would expect on the action with washers and everything. So that was a little exaggerated on how good it was because it wasn't locked up solid. Man, this is a really nice jimping here. The, you know, you're going to need to get a good purchase on a front flipper. And it does it without being too uncomfortable. It definitely gets you a little bit, but that's a really nice balance there. The feel of the scales in hand is super nice here. Yeah, this thing's nice. Sweet knife. Secondary on this is insane. Someone actually put in the video the other day that I should start talking more about prices. So I think this is like a $1,000 or $1,100 table price for this Spiro Shamwari. I would say in secondary is like apparently on average $1,800, which is crazy. It's the hottest, I mean, one of the hottest secondaries I've seen for a knife that's, it's definitely limited production, but it's what I'd call a production knife that they're making. You know, I'm not just, that's not to say that it's not like mid-tech or hand, you know, worked on by hand and stuff, but that's pretty crazy. So I paid a little less than that and got this pouch, but this pouch is pretty worn out, so it's kind of, you know, whatever. And just a little, seeing if I can get this off here. This particular one has a little bit of schmutz on it, as my buddy says. A little bit of schmutz. So I'll have to work on getting that off better offline. Whew. Let's see how the feel in hand is and stuff. It does have a over travel stop on these newer ones. Apparently the older ones did not, but the newer one does have an over travel stop, which I think is important for a tie frame lock like this. For a tie frame lock, by the way, very good positioning where there's just not really a situation. You're going to grab that pocket clip pretty naturally here. You could frame lock yourself a little, frame lock pressure, or lock bar pressure, but it just doesn't feel like a threat for lock bar pressure. If I'm being honest, I wish there was a thumb stud on this knife. I know that's the whole point of this, is that it's not a thumb stud knife, and everyone would think that was blasphemy if they heard that, but I don't know. I understand, given how easy it is to actuate, that you don't need it at all. You know, I can do this with even different parts of my thumb. I don't even have to be on the right part of my thumb. I could go like up here on the tip of my thumb and get it out. It is very easy. I've seen people also, use other fingers. Wow, that is pretty damn cool. I've never done that before, and I got it on my first try. So that's pretty cool. I've seen people, actuate it upside down with like random figures and stuff. Like, it's definitely easy to deploy. So that's really neat. Man, I have to say, this is a real sweetheart of a knife. I get the hype. It is very awesome. I would love to go get my hands on a 3.3 inch. So if you're selling one, please let me know. Be very interested in trying to review one. But that is about as good of an EDC, I think, as it gets for what it is. It's definitely not as fidgety. It is in ways fidgety, I think, as like one of these knives. Now this one's become very hard for me to do. In its own way. It's not going to have 10 different ways to deploy, but it is in its own way fidgety because it's such a, like I said, I can really kind of go on any part of my finger here. Normally I'd do a front flipper here, but I could go like way up here and still get it out, and that is pretty cool. The weight also is just remarkable. 2.5 ounce knife that's that nice. Feel in hand's not like the best ever. It's a very small knife, so I think the 3 inch would probably feel a little better in hand. But man, this is a very efficient and sweet knife. Feel very lucky to get my hands on one. Slash apprehensive about how much I spent on it. And hope I can get my money back if I decide to sell it at some point and not have wasted a whole bunch of money. But man, that is a beautiful, beautiful knife. I do understand the hype. I just wish this was if this was a $700, $800 knife, that would really be nice, frankly. But, they come over from South Africa. There's a lot of history here. The secondary is very limited, extremely limited. You get a couple, I think they only do like 3 drops a year or something like that, I heard. Maybe it's a little less. A few shows and then, some book spots. So, this is highly in demand. Apparently they're even crazier last year, so I'm glad I'm buying it this year and not last year from what I'm hearing. Unfortunately, I didn't win the last drop. I got in on the Facebook group drop and they had 16 knives. I want to say 300 people or something like that responded. It was a very low probability of win, 5%, and I did not win. So that is how it goes, unfortunately. But definitely thankful that I've gotten to handle one and gotten to check it out and bring it to the channel here. Overall, very, very nice. Not a lot I could criticize. Maybe this is a tad sharp on this side of the scale here. Let me clear out the the situation here. Up here, I wouldn't mind it being knocked down a little more like it is on the front side. That'd be nice, but it's not super noticeable or anything. Pocket clip feels very good. Can't see a lot wrong there. I like the little ramp. It's maybe a little tall, but a beautiful milled pocket clip with an invisible screw on the backside. You can see the screw on the backside there. Yeah, it's just a little simple sweetheart of a knife. I see why people like it with washers, because it's just very, very smooth. And it would be very, very reliable. Wow. Nice knife, tiny little knife. Let's see if we can get a 3 inch. That's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.